And his opinion is that the O'Keefe injuries are consistent with being struck by the Lexus. That should be it, if believed. However, Michael, this experiment was 2 miles an hour when we have the data saying that that vehicle was traveling 23 miles an hour and traveled 34 feet and all these other things. And this is what the cross is doing right now. You have force. You have to take force into consideration. And then he said, oh, well, it's only about the directionality of the wounds. So that, yeah, it would be vertical and it'd be rolling off. And he goes to the directionality. But what if it's a 25 mile an hour, 20 mile an hour? Throw the speed into that. And what happens to that arm and that body? It's almost like what Trooper Paul said in the first trial, which is he flies 30 feet. And they still got to deal with that, too, because Paul said 30 feet flying doesn't really make sense with his glancing impact that he's showing here in this demonstration.
No question.
While it sounded great initially, Michael, when you really get down to the analysis and the lack of force, it does not hold much weight.
Yeah, it's interesting because I thought the same thing about Trooper Paul. Actually, under the circumstances, his explanation makes a little bit more sense than what we're seeing here doing these experiments at 2 miles an hour. It's a huge hole. But here's what he said, and I'm going to ask if you buy it. He said, look, if I did this at 24 miles an hour, number one, I couldn't do it on a human body, right, obviously, but they did have the crash test dummies. He said if it didn't come out exactly the way, you know, it was supposed to, then you would say, oh, look, it doesn't match up, and therefore it's invalid. And he has a point, because there are, as I said going in, there's so many variables, I'm not sure if we can make any conclusions from this.
And that's why all those questions, all of those factors, all of those different angles, he testified that the test is sensitive to angles. Well, sir, if the test is sensitive to angles, what about speed and force and Newton's second law? We're talking about science in this cross-examination. I just think that, you know, you talked about that confirmation bias, Michael, in the last hour, and how often we see police officers and investigations come in and just take every single inference that's consistent with the bias. And this sounds like it, because when you throw force in, O'Keefe is not going to be spinning off the car like that demonstration is. Yes. There's going to be more action. And what about more injuries that we could expect from the body as well? So absolutely, many different questions.